Welcome to World Information HD, your go-to channel for uncovering astonishing facts and treasures from around the globe. Today, we're diving deep into 1-cent coins that are anything but ordinary. Join us as we reveal the top 5 rarest Lincoln wheat pennies from the United States, each one historical, mysterious, and worth millions of dollars. These humble coins hiding in jars or forgotten drawers may just turn out to be priceless. Let's begin our treasure hunt. Today, we'll explore the hidden story behind the 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, its fascinating history, unique characteristics, collector secrets, and its shocking value in today's market. Let's take a journey back in time. In 1941, the United States Mint produced over 887 million Lincoln wheat pennies in Philadelphia, which means these coins were struck without any mint mark under the date. The design featured Abraham Lincoln on the front, a proud tribute to the 16th President of the United States. On the reverse, 2 simple wheat ears symbolized American prosperity and hard work. To most people, these pennies were just spare change, used to buy candy, stamps, or a newspaper. But decades later, some of these coins would go on to become the crown jewels of coin collections around the world. What makes the 1941 penny stand out from other years? While it's not the rarest Lincoln wheat penny ever made, its beauty, quality, and historical significance make it one of the most beloved coins among collectors. More importantly, special varieties, errors, and high-grade examples have turned ordinary copper cents into rare treasures worth thousands of dollars. Let's talk about the coin itself. The 1941 Lincoln wheat penny was composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing about 3.11 grams. It measures 19 millimeters in diameter, and the smooth edge gives it a clean, classic appearance. When freshly minted, these coins shine with a brilliant reddish glow, but over time, many have developed beautiful tones of brown and red, giving each one a unique character. Collectors pay close attention to these color grades, red, red-brown, or brown, because they can drastically affect the coin's value. The no mint mark on the 1941 penny tells us it was made at the Philadelphia Mint. Back then, the Philadelphia facility didn't place a mint mark on its coins, unlike the Denver D or San Francisco S mints. Because the Philadelphia Mint struck the most coins that year, it's the most common version of the 1941 penny. However, condition is everything. While lower-grade examples can be found easily in circulation or old collections, pristine examples with perfect luster and no visible wear are incredibly hard to find. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny is the range of mint errors that occurred that year. These small mistakes, made during the minting process, can turn an average penny into a collector's dream. For example, there are 1941 pennies with double die errors, coins where the image or lettering was accidentally struck twice, creating a shadow-like effect. Some double dies show on the date, others on Lincoln's eye or the words, "In God We Trust." These errors are extremely valuable because they're so rare. Collectors are always on the hunt for them, and depending on their condition, they can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Another interesting feature is the die cracks and off-center strikes. A die crack occurs when the die used to stamp the coins becomes damaged, leaving raised lines or marks on the penny. Off-center strikes happen when the coin blank isn't properly aligned, causing part of the design to be missing. These imperfections are small windows into the minting process, revealing how much effort and precision went into creating these tiny works of art during a very demanding time in American history. Let's look at the coin's historical context. In 1941, the U.S. was months away from entering World War II. The nation's resources were shifting toward military production, and copper, used in pennies, would soon become a critical metal for ammunition and wiring. Just 2 years later, in 1943, the mint was forced to switch from copper to steel pennies to save the copper for the war effort. That means the 1941 penny represents the last era of true copper cents before wartime shortages changed everything. It's not just a coin, it's a tangible reminder of the times when America stood on the edge of global conflict and transformation. For collectors, the value of a 1941 penny depends on several key factors: condition, color, rarity of errors, and whether it has been graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC. Most circulated examples are only worth a few cents to a few dollars. However, when you find a 1941 penny that's been perfectly preserved since the day it was minted, showing no wear, perfect luster, and a sharp strike, the value skyrockets. Mint state grades like MS-65, MS-66, and especially MS-67 are where the magic happens. The color grade also plays a huge role in value. Collectors divide them into three main categories: brown, BN. These have lost most of their original red shine, turning deep brown with age. Red brown, RB. These coins retain some of their original reddish tone mixed with brown. Red, RD. These are the rarest and most sought after because they look almost exactly as they did when struck in 1941. Brilliant and fiery. A genuine 1941 Lincoln wheat penny with full red luster and no mint mark can bring in impressive amounts at auctions. Add an air of variety or a high mint state grade, and you could be holding a small fortune in your hand. Collectors also pay attention to die varieties and even minor details like the clarity of Lincoln's features, the sharpness of the wheat stalks, and the strike of the lettering. Coins that show full definition in these areas are called fully struck, and can demand huge premiums over regular examples. This is why many coin enthusiasts use magnifying glasses or microscopes to inspect the tiniest details before grading or selling their coins. But perhaps the most magical part of collecting coins like the 1941 penny is the history it carries. Imagine the hands that have touched it: a soldier's pay before heading overseas, a child's allowance in wartime America, or a store owner's change drawer during the golden age of American manufacturing. Every scratch and mark tells a silent story from over 80 years ago. That's what makes numismatics, the study of coins, so much more than a hobby. It's like holding history in your hand. Now, let's talk about the market. In recent years, the value of Lincoln wheat pennies has seen a huge rise, especially for rare varieties and high-grade examples. Collectors all over the world compete for these coins at auctions, often driving prices to astonishing levels. Online coin markets, estate sales, and coin shows are hot spots for these valuable pieces of copper history. Many people don't even realize they have one sitting in an old coin jar, drawer, or album. Even a modest example of the 1941 no-mint mark penny can be a great addition to any collection. But the real prize lies in those few pristine examples that have survived untouched for more than 8 decades. These coins have been carefully stored in protective cases, away from air, moisture, and human contact, preserving their original brilliance. When such a coin surfaces, collectors know it's something special, and they're willing to pay big money for it. One of the most famous sales involved a 1941 Lincoln wheat penny in near-perfect condition, certified as a mint state red by a professional grading company. The sharp details, flawless luster, and deep red shine made it one of the best preserved examples ever found. When it went up for auction, bidders were stunned by its beauty and rarity. The final hammer price shocked everyone and proved that even a simple 1-cent coin could be worth a small fortune. That's the incredible thing about coin collecting. You never know what you might have. A coin that once bought a newspaper in 1941 could now be worth more than most people earn in a year. So next time you come across an old wheat penny, take a closer look. Examine the date, check for a mint mark, and study its condition. Because hidden among those ordinary pennies could be one of the rare treasures of American history. The 1941 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark reminds us how something so small can hold so much meaning. It's a piece of American pride, artistry, and endurance that has stood the test of time. While billions were made, only a few remain in perfect shape, a symbol of resilience and craftsmanship from a nation on the edge of change. And here's the most astonishing part. One exceptional 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny in pristine condition was sold for an unbelievable price of $40,994. Welcome to World Information HD, where today we dive deep into one of the most talked about coins in American numismatic history, the 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. A coin so ordinary looking, yet capable of surprising collectors and enthusiasts around the world with its hidden value. Every year, millions of people come across old wheat pennies in their change jars, unaware that one of them might be worth thousands of dollars today. But what makes this coin from 1944 so unique? And how can a simple copper penny turn into a treasure worth more than some cars? Let's uncover the fascinating story, history, and value behind the 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny. The Lincoln Wheat penny has a long and iconic history in American coinage. It was first introduced in 1909, replacing the Indian head cent, to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin features Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse, symbolizing strength, prosperity, and the American agricultural spirit. This design quickly became one of the most beloved among collectors. But by 1944, something very interesting was happening in the U.S. Mint that would make certain pennies from that year exceptionally valuable. To understand the mystery behind the 1944 penny, we must go back to World War II. During the war, copper was a vital material needed for ammunition and other military equipment. In 1943, the U.S. Mint made a historic decision. They stopped using copper for pennies and switched to steel coated with zinc. This gave the 1943 penny its famous silver or gray color. However, the experiment did not go well. The steel pennies rusted easily, stuck to magnets, and confused people who thought they were dimes. The Mint quickly realized their mistake and returned to copper in 1944, using recycled shell casings from the war effort. Now, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny was once again made of copper, or technically, a bronze alloy, consisting of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. But this return to copper came with a few surprises. During the transition from steel back to bronze, a few leftover steel planchets from 1943 accidentally got struck with the 1944 dies. Those rare steel pennies from 1944 are now among the most valuable error coins in existence. But even the regular 1944 copper pennies can carry tremendous value depending on their condition and minting details. When we talk about the no mint mark version, we are referring to pennies struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike the Denver or San Francisco mints, the Philadelphia Mint did not place a mint mark under the date. So, if your 1944 penny simply says 1944 with no small d or s beneath it, that means it was produced in Philadelphia. Over 1 billion of these were minted, but don't let that high number fool you. Even among billions, certain 1944 no-mint mark pennies are worth far more than face value. Why? It all comes down to a combination of factors: condition, rarity, and minting errors. Let's start with condition. A circulated 1944 penny, the kind that's been used in everyday transactions and shows somewhere, is generally worth only a few cents to $1. However, when the same coin is found in uncirculated or mint state, condition, with full details and bright original luster, the price can jump dramatically. Collectors pay premium prices for coins that look like they just left the mint. Grading plays a major role in determining the coin's worth. A 1944 penny graded MS-60 might fetch a few dollars, while one graded MS-65 or MS-66, meaning it has nearly perfect surfaces and sharp detail, could be valued at hundreds. But it doesn't stop there. The rarest examples with extraordinary preservation and strong luster have been known to sell for thousands at auction. Then there's the topic of errors and varieties. Some 1944 pennies were struck with doubled dies, where the date, letters, or parts of Lincoln's image appear slightly doubled under magnification. Others might show die cracks, repunched mint marks on Denver and San Francisco issues, or off-center strikes that make them unique. These types of variations excite collectors and can significantly raise a coin's market value. Now, one of the most talked about and mysterious cases surrounding the 1944 penny involves coins struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943. Imagine finding a silver-colored 1944 penny. That would be an accidental piece of history. These rare steel 1944 pennies have sold for astonishing sums, even exceeding hundreds of thousands of dollars. While the no-mint mark copper version isn't as rare as the steel one, its story and collector appeal keep its demand alive. Let's talk about the physical details of this beautiful piece of numismatic history. The obverse side displays Abraham Lincoln facing right, with the words, "In God We Trust." Arched along the top, Liberty, to the left, and the date 1944 on the right. The reverse side carries the classic wheat design, two stylized wheat stalks curving along the sides, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above them appears the motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. The simplicity and symbolism of this design made it one of the most recognizable coins in the world. Collectors often love the 1944 wheat penny because it represents a pivotal time in American history, the final years of World War II. The copper used in these coins literally came from recycled war ammunition shell casings. In other words, every 1944 penny tells a story of transformation, from war to peace, from destruction to rebuilding. Holding one of these coins is like holding a tiny piece of history. When you find a 1944 penny, you might wonder, how do I know if mine is valuable? The first step is to check the mint mark. If there's no mark, it's from Philadelphia. Then, examine its surface carefully. Is it shiny with crisp details? Or does it show heavy wear? If it looks new or uncirculated, it's time to get it appraised or graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. A small investment in grading could reveal that your humble penny is worth far more than you think. Another thing to watch for is color and tone. Over time, copper coins change color depending on how they were stored. A bright red coin, known as red or RD in grading terms, is the most valuable, while a red-brown RB or brown BN version might be worth less. But even brown coins in pristine condition can bring serious money. Many collectors today search through rolls of old wheat pennies bought from antique stores, estate sales, or online auctions, hoping to find a gem like the 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny. And although it may not be the rarest coin ever minted, its place in history and its link to the wartime era make it a must-have for any serious collector. Let's not forget how coin values fluctuate with time. The numismatic market is driven by rarity, condition, and demand. While some pennies might stay around modest prices for years, others suddenly rise in value when a new record sale hits the headlines. The 1944 no-mint mark penny has had several such moments, where top-grade examples sold for surprising amounts. These sales remind collectors that even an ordinary coin from your pocket change could turn into a remarkable discovery. Stories often circulate about people finding rare coins by accident. Imagine going through an old jar in your attic or your grandparents' drawer and spotting a 1944 penny. It's moments like those that make coin collecting so exciting: the thrill of discovery, the mystery of history, and the potential for treasure all rolled into one tiny piece of metal. The next time you come across a wheat penny, take a closer look. You might be holding more than a cent. You might be holding a small but powerful relic of America's past. Each coin carries not just monetary value, but a story of endurance, transformation, and craftsmanship. From its humble beginnings in 1909 to its wartime production in 1944, the Lincoln wheat penny remains an enduring symbol of American history and pride. And among all those billions of coins minted, a select few have managed to capture both the fascination of collectors and the imagination of the public. So, if you're lucky enough to own a 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny in exceptional condition, treasure it, because it's more than just a coin. It's a living artifact, a timeless piece of American heritage, and in some cases, a valuable investment. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for. The highest recorded value for this particular 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny has reached an incredible $38,788. So keep your eyes open, check your change, and who knows? Maybe the next great coin discovery is already sitting quietly in your pocket, waiting to reveal its true worth. Welcome back to World Information HD, the channel where we explore the hidden treasures lying quietly in your pocket change. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and sought-after coins in American history, the 1955 mint mark Lincoln wheat cent. You might think a 1-cent coin isn't worth much, but when it comes to rare errors, mint marks, and the hidden history behind them, that small copper piece can be worth an absolute fortune. So stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll find out exactly how a simple 1955 Denver minted penny could make your collection, or your bank account shine like gold. Let's start by going back to the mid-1950s, a fascinating time in American coinage. The year 1955 was filled with post-war growth, economic optimism, and mass production, including at the U.S. Mint. Millions upon millions of pennies were being struck every single day. But sometimes, even with such precision and expertise, small mistakes occurred, and those tiny errors are what make collectors' hearts race decades later. Now, there are actually two major varieties of the 1955 Lincoln cent that attract collectors: the famous 1955 double die from the Philadelphia Mint and the slightly lesser known, yet still extremely desirable, 1955D minted in Denver. The Denver Mint was responsible for producing over 563 million wheat pennies that year. Most of those pennies were struck perfectly and spent quickly, circulating through grocery stores, gas stations, and diners across America. But a handful, a rare and select few, were produced with distinctive characteristics that set them apart from all others. Before we get to how valuable one can be, let's take a closer look at what makes this particular coin so special. The 1955D Lincoln Wheat Cent carries the iconic design created by Victor David Brenner in 1909. The bust of President Abraham Lincoln facing right on the obverse, with the words, "In God We Trust," arched above his head, Liberty, to his left, and the year 1955 just below his chin. The small letter D, placed just below the date, marks that it was minted in Denver, Colorado. On the reverse, you'll find the famous wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent, a design that gives the coin its nickname, the wheat penny. Above that, it proudly reads, United States of America, and the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, crowns the top. But what really draws attention from numismatists and collectors around the world are the small variations and rare errors that can appear on coins like these. In the 1955D Lincoln cent, the most desirable examples are those with perfect, uncirculated luster, coins that look just as they did the moment they left the Denver Mint. Even the faintest scratch, mark, or discoloration can drop the value dramatically, which is why pristine examples command high prices at auction. However, the Denver Mint of the 1950s had its fair share of striking errors, and those minting mistakes are exactly what collectors chase after. Some of the most valuable 1955D wheat pennies exhibit die cracks, repunched mint marks, or doubled dies. In a repunched mint mark, for example, the letter D was struck more than once, often leaving a visible shadow or doubling effect beneath or beside the main letter. These tiny imperfections might seem insignificant to the casual eye, but to a trained collector they're worth thousands. Another factor that contributes to a coin's desirability is its condition, or grade. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, known as the Sheldon scale. A grade of 1 represents a coin that's barely identifiable, while a perfect 70 means the coin is flawless, even under magnification. For the 1955D Lincoln Wheat Penny, examples graded between MS-65 and MS-67, mint state, are highly prized. These are coins that have survived for nearly 70 years without scratches, nicks, or wear, maintaining their original red copper brilliance. Now, let's talk about the coin's composition, because even that adds to its allure. The 1955D wheat penny was made primarily of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Copper coins from that era tend to develop beautiful toning over time, which can add even more personality, and sometimes value, depending on how evenly and attractively it appears. Bright red examples are the most sought after, followed by red-brown, and then brown. Collectors often pay a premium for that glowing, fiery copper tone that makes the coin look almost brand new. One of the fascinating stories behind the 1955 pennies is the widespread excitement around era coins that year. While the Philadelphia double-die penny stole much of the spotlight, collectors quickly began turning their attention to the Denver Mint's issues as well. Many 1955D coins featured subtle but noticeable differences, from repunched mint marks to off-center strikes, and this made every roll of Denver pennies a small treasure hunt. Kids, coin enthusiasts, and dealers across America started inspecting their change under magnifying glasses, hoping to find that one elusive piece. As years passed, most of the 1955 pennies disappeared into circulation, worn down by decades of use. Few survived in high condition. And that scarcity, combined with the growing fascination with Lincoln wheat cents, has turned surviving mint state coins into collector's gold. To understand why collectors love these coins so much, you need to appreciate the historical context. By 1959, the wheat design was retired and replaced with the Lincoln Memorial reverse, marking the end of an era. The 1955 issue, therefore, represents one of the final years of the classic wheat penny series, a design that had been a part of American life since the early 1900s. Holding one feels like holding a piece of history, a relic from a time when a penny still had real buying power. Let's also touch on how to spot a valuable one. If you have a 1955 penny, check for sharp details, especially in Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat. Look closely at the D mint mark for signs of doubling or shadowing. Examine the surfaces for any scratches or spots. If your coin still has a brilliant red-orange glow, it could be worth submitting to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Coins in sealed slabs with high grades can bring incredible prices at auctions or online marketplaces. Now, while most circulated 1955 wheat pennies might fetch between a few cents to a few dollars depending on condition, the real treasure lies in the top-graded examples. Coins that have remained untouched, preserved in their mint brilliance for all these decades, can command staggering sums. Collectors and investors are always eager to pay premium prices for coins that represent both rarity and condition perfection. Interestingly, over the years, stories have surfaced of lucky finds, people discovering pristine 1955 pennies tucked away in old drawers, inherited coin jars, or estate sales. Many of these unsuspecting owners had no idea the small, copper coin they were holding could be worth thousands. That's part of the thrill. You never know what treasures are hiding in plain sight. Even though the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins, finding one that survived in immaculate, uncirculated condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. And as each year passes, that rarity only increases. Collectors love coins like this because they blend beauty, history, and the thrill of discovery, all in one small piece of metal. For coin enthusiasts, the 1955 wheat penny represents much more than currency. It's a time capsule, a reminder of the artistry and craftsmanship that defined early American coinage. The simple wheat stalks on the back, the timeless image of Lincoln on the front, and that bold little D under the date all come together to tell a story of an era long gone but never forgotten. So if you ever come across a 1955 Lincoln wheat cent, take a moment to look closely. It might just be a common coin, or it might be one of those incredibly rare, high-grade examples that collectors dream about. The difference could be worth thousands of dollars, and knowing what to look for is half the battle. From its deep copper shine to the subtle minting quirks that make each coin unique, the 1955 wheat penny stands as a shining example of how history, rarity, and condition can transform something so ordinary into something extraordinary. And yes, the moment you've been waiting for. The highest recorded value of a 1955 Lincoln wheat cent in top mint condition reached an astonishing $41,266 at auction. So, the next time you sift through your change, remember, that tiny copper coin in your hand might not be so worthless after all. Somewhere out there, among billions of ordinary pennies, lies one that could change your life. Thank you for watching World Information HD, where history, money, and mystery come together. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want to discover more amazing stories about the hidden treasures of American coins. Your next fortune might just be sitting right in your pocket.